Overall, we're in a great place. Everybody's delighted with the week. I mean, little bit of disappointment at the fact that we couldn't turn 1 point into 3 at the weekend. But as I was saying to you guys before we came in here, when I was at Stamford Bridge on Sunday and the final whistle went and I looked around me and 3/4 of Stamford Bridge was cheering and up celebrating, a place, I know we've had a good record there in the last 5-6 years, but you can remember a time where we were conceding 4s and 5s there pretty much every time we went. And so to look around and see that reaction in a game that Chelsea have picked up a point in, that kind of gave me that reassurance that people take us seriously now. We turn up to places and people fear us. And to the point where a draw feels like something to be celebrating.
Yeah, I expect they were celebrating the performance. I actually think, I've spoken to a couple of Chelsea fans, and there is still an element from their side as well of kind of disappointment that that's the best they've played against us in a long time. It's probably the worst we've played against them in a long time, and they still couldn't get the 3 points. And yes, that's because of Caicedo. But yeah, I think that kind of celebration relative to our disappointment probably does tell you where we're both at.
Yeah, look, if I was a Chelsea supporter, and I'm glad I'm not, I would have been celebrating that because you've just drawn with the best team in Europe. At the moment, Arsenal are recognised, I think, by most, not all, but most people, as being the most informed team on the continent, maybe, in the world, really, that means, doesn't it? Just beaten Bayern Munich, who probably were that team. So, yeah, I don't blame them for celebrating.
That's it. How times have changed, eh? Let's talk a little bit about the title race in a more kind of broader context. We're 5 points clear at the top of the pile. Do we agree that Manchester City are still the ones that we're probably most wary of, Rory? Are they the side that you're looking at most closely?
Yeah, I think historically, you just cannot rule them out. You cannot rule Haaland, Guardiola out. I actually think I've been more impressed over the course of the season by Chelsea than by City. Even you look at the weekend, that result against City, against Leeds, they kind of got away with it with that late winner.
Big time.
But you do think, and they think as well, they've got that mentality that if they're still within 3, 4, 5 points going into March, April, they'll be there, they'll turn it on. So yeah, I think they're still the biggest threat. But I do also think, we're in a really strong position in terms of being 5 points ahead of them. They and Chelsea still have to play each other twice. We've got a lot of big away games out of the way. Obviously, Villa's the next big one. But after that, I think it's only City and Spurs left in terms of the big ones. So yeah, I think we're...
So just City left in terms of tough
ones. Well, yeah, exactly. So, no, I think we're in a really strong position, and that's why I think, seeing, obviously you always get the online sort of super negativity off the back of that result. I was thinking, we'd have ripped your arm off to be 5 points clear at this stage of the season with the games that we've played so far. So, yeah, City probably still the biggest threat, but we're in good shape.
I think I completely agree with what Rory said. I've been much more impressed by Chelsea, but because it's City, you're more worried about City. The reason I'm confident that we can fend off City is that their away form against decent teams has been bang average for over a season now. You have to go back to the start of last season when they won at Stamford Bridge. For the last time they really took a big scalp on the road. I mean, Spurs doesn't count, really, does it? Not with their home record. So in terms of traditional Big Six teams, or even, those at the top end, they don't get very many wins. If that changes over the next 2 or 3 months and they start to go to difficult places and win well, that's when we need to be really worried that City are properly back. But until I see them doing that, I think they're going to drop points.
Yeah, I think they'll drop points as well. And I sort of watched the game at the weekend against Leeds, and I think that impacted in my view on the Arsenal game. Now, if I had just ignored the game and at 5 o'clock jumped onto my live score app and seen that they won 3-2, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. But when you watch them look so weak and fallible, having taken a 2-goal lead and then find a way, it's just that it tweaks that thing in the back of your mind, that concern that exists from what's happened in previous seasons.
They're going to win. City, Liverpool, Chelsea, they're going to win games like that all season.
Yeah.
But so are Arsenal. And, we're not going to be brilliant and blow everybody away every week. There are going to be times where we have to grind it out and we nick a late winner and then we're breaking their hearts. So it's the way it is. I think for Arsenal fans, we've just got to try and stay calm and not get too ahead of ourselves and really not worry about what the other teams are doing. Because for me, this season isn't about what City do and Liverpool or Chelsea. It's actually about what we do. And it's about us getting to 90 points. It's like that is the finish line. Can we get there?
Yeah.
And we've never got there. We're not for many, many years. If we get there this year, we win the league. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of accustomed almost now to mid-90 points being the benchmark. I don't think... you look at everyone in the league this season, I don't think you'll need mid-90s to win it. And so it is. It's just about, for us, it's 3 points against Brentford. I mean, Villa away is a very tough game. But even tonight, I think the big difference between this season and previous ones is... you look at City going away to Fulham. Season's gone by, you'd have gone, that's just one that they'll tick off. Whereas I'm looking at that going, that's a pretty tough game for them. I could see them dropping points there. So, and I think their own fans had kind of got into that mindset as well. And that Leeds game definitely didn't help because a lot of them went, oh no, we really are still fallible.
Yeah. Also, like the thing to note is that pre the international break, we were 4 points clear of them. Now we're 5. And so if you had told me at the start of this really difficult run of games that we've faced, that we would have gained a point in terms of our lead, I would have taken that all day long. I would have said, let's just not lose anything, let alone extend it even further. So yeah, it's really interesting. And just on that point about focusing on us and worrying about us, I feel like I can see that in the players this season versus other seasons. I feel like I can see that in the manager. I feel like at times we have been over emotional, when we were first developing the team. And that's why the Chelsea game for me was so interesting, because what I saw from them was probably what I saw from us 2-3 years ago in terms of being a little bit too charged up and it costing you with the red card, the crowd being kind of really behind you for the first time in a while. There was a lot of similarities there. And I looked at Arsenal and I thought, we don't look phased by this, which is what I really
We were
like.
quite calm because it would have been easy to lose your head in that game and for someone to do something silly and then it gets 10v10 or to get wound up by it. But we did stay quite calm. It was quite mature. And I just looked at the faces of the players afterwards. They were absolutely miserable, weren't they? The lads. As they went to sort of applaud the fans in the corner, they were fuming at themselves because they were thinking, we should have won this game. And that's exactly what you want from them.
Exactly. Jurien Timber actually went to the away fans, gave his applause, and then he walked shaking his head the whole way from that corner of the stadium to the tunnel.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're absolutely right. He was devastated at the fact we hadn't nicked it.
Yeah, I don't know if he knew that he had taken it off Gyökeres's head right at the end there and he was shaking his head at himself.
If he didn't, I'm sure Victor told him. So.
Yeah, I bet he did. That would have been...
It's just so hard. Like, I've heard of him criticised, but like he's in a position, he's got a free header himself. It's 40-odd thousand there. It's noisy. You're not really going to hear a shout. And if you think you've heard one, are you really going to duck? Are you really going to duck there and leave it?
If you leave it and there's no one behind you, you think, oh my God, it could have been the moment. So it is unfortunate.
Another week, another London derby for Arsenal to look forward to, taking on Brentford, of course, on Wednesday night at Emirates Stadium. Really, really important, guys. I'll come to you first, Adrian, that we get back to winning ways. But this isn't going to be an easy game given the way Brentford have started the season.
No, I'll tell you why it's probably a difficult game on paper. It's because stylistically they're quite similar to Sunderland, whereby they're really direct and their game is built around counters, long balls and putting the ball into the box from long throws and set pieces. And we have looked a little bit shaky. I don't think there's any denying that. I don't think we've completely nailed the art of defending wide free kicks and corners. I think there's room for improvement there. And obviously we're a little bit depleted with no Gabriel Magalhaes, maybe no Saliba for this game as well. So yeah, they're awkward. Hopefully we can, cut them apart and create plenty of chances and score goals. But what they will aim to do, what they've done at home to the likes of, they've Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle, where they draw you in, they back themselves to defend, and then they go bang, long ball over the top to Sharda or to Igor Thiago, and then they make things happen. So we've got to be really aware of that, and I'm sure we will be.
What would you do team-wise, Rory? Because it feels like with the games coming thick and fast, we've built this squad that we've all been lauding all season. Now's probably the time to use it. What would you do? Because, we are depleted in certain areas and some of the choices that we might have made have almost been taken away from us as options. So is there anything that you're looking at and thinking this could be the day to tweak this or that?
Yeah, it's really difficult, I think, to find the balance between rotating, which I do think we desperately need to do, and not over-rotating and costing ourselves. And, I think a lot of, as fans, we've almost been looking at this Brentford game at the end of that massive week going, Brentford, we can rotate. And I hope the sort of players don't get into that mindset of, it's Brentford, it'll be an easier game. But I think Timber definitely needs a rest. Ben White, if we can't use a Ben White in a game like this, do we actually have the depth that we're talking about? Same with Christian Norgard, I think has to come in for either Zubimendi or Rice. Because again, if not here, when are these players going to be starting games?
I just worry for Norgard because he's had such little game time.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to be sharp enough against a Brentford team that totally match fit?
This is the conundrum, because especially because having Hincapié and Mosquera, that's probably rotation that you've been forced to do that you might not have done otherwise. And suddenly, if you are taking out Timber and Rice and you're looking at it with Hincapié and Mosquera going, this is almost a Carabao Cup team at this point. I do think Erdegaard coming back in, Gyökeres coming back in, for me actually improves the team in that sense. So very difficult to figure out exactly what the right way to go about it is.
I don't think I would take any of Zubimendi or Rice out. I think Rice is too important, especially against Brentford, that kind of physical team. And Zubimendi came off on about 57 minutes.
True. I think he can.
So there's an extra half an hour in there that we didn't use at Stamford Bridge that would probably lead to me picking.
I think the only change in midfield would be Erdegaard for Eza. But I could see Eza being moved out to the left, just to cause them a few headaches, because we're going to need creators in this game, because they will block up the spaces, and you're going to need a little bit of ingenuity, I think, to open them up. Maybe the pace approach won't work so well, because I don't think they're going to leave a lot of space for us. I don't think it's a game for Martinelli at the start. It would be a game for Trossard, but I don't suppose he'll be available. So it's a big selection, because Villa is huge.
Villa away lunchtime on Saturday as well, so no turnaround time.
Is it a game for Miles Lewis-Skelly? Because he came on at half time at the Bridge. I haven't been massively impressed with his last couple of performances, but the fact that of all the players on a booking, it was Calafiori that went off, does it suggest that maybe Calafiori is maybe carrying a little something, or hasn't quite recovered from the last knock? Because honestly, I was looking at the defence on Sunday and I was going, Calafiori's like one of the go-tos. I probably wouldn't be taking him off if I'm worried about the cards of the three, but he did. And that makes me think that maybe fitness-wise, he's not 100% there.
Possibly. I think there were a couple of things. I think you definitely had to take someone off from that back line. Having three of them on a booking would have been too risky. And I think, you had Ben White on the bench, but you didn't have like a recognised centre-back to come on at centre-back. And I also think Miles Lewis-Skelly coming on was tactical in terms of filling that midfield. So I think there were various reasons to do that. I'm on the fence with Calafiori, because I think we need the height that he has compared to Miles Lewis-Skelly. But Calafiori is also one booking away from suspension. And you think if he gets booked against Brentford, that's him out of the Villa game, where I think it'd be really important. So, again, it's a bit of a headache with that one. I probably would start Calafiori and gamble on him not getting a booking. He did only play 45 minutes, so in terms of freshness, I don't think it's too bad. But there's a lot of big decisions to make.
Ouattara's a good player down that side as well. I think the Ben White thing, I don't know if I would. Like, I'm hearing you, but Kevin Schade, I think, is the quickest player in the Premier League. Like, he's as quick as Mickey van der Ven. Like, his stats are unreal. Yeah. And Ben White hasn't looked... He's not as quick as Timber, is he? And he hasn't looked that sharp. That would be a risky selection. But do you back yourself to dominate the game and just go out and win it anyway? It's a really tricky one, I think, this for Mikel Arteta. But knowing him, he will see this 3 points as valuable as Villa, So you just said it. We've got to get back to winning ways. Yeah, making wholesale changes might not be the way to do it.
Because Villa Park is the sort of place that even at full strength you could still draw. They are a solid team. So you do look at it and go, if you rotate heavily against Brentford, draw, and then you still draw at the weekend, then you've dropped 4 points. So I think the one good thing is that Brentford, A, their away form is terrible. I think they've lost 5 out of 6 Premier League away games this season. And B, they're not as accustomed to playing every 3 days. I think they put a shift in against Burnley. I think Igor Thiago came off at the end with a knock. So, I do think we should be winning the game. It's just about,
Yeah, I think it's really difficult, because when you're playing every 3 days, you you don't want to be distracted by the game that's around the corner, but it's impossible not to be at times because you have to consider the loads that you're putting on everybody. But I just feel like at this stage in the season, with the options that we've got, you've got to be trying to manage people's loads by saving them 20, 30 minutes.
Who plays up front?
For me, I don't know if Victor Gyökeres is ready to start. I mean, I know he didn't have much when he came on the other day, but look, at the best of times, Victor Gyökeres looks a little bit clunky to me, I've got to be honest. So I'm not sure that he'd be sharp enough to start a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw it. I thought he looked like he trimmed down when he came on. He looks a bit slimmer. Maybe that's something that he worked on when he was injured. But yeah, no, I think it's difficult. But again, with Marino, I just think the week that he's had, I think he did the most running against Bayern, probably similar against Chelsea. So yeah, Jesus, I can't imagine is going to start, but you've got that option off the bench. I don't know.
Do you know what? I'm going to go with Marino against
Yeah.
Brentford because I feel like Unai Emery's Villa will play a higher line.
Yeah.
And that will suit Gyökeres better than it would suit Mikel Merino.
Yeah.
So for that, so I am doing exactly what I said you can't do, which is looking at the game beyond the game that we're playing. For.
Yeah, the one I'm thinking that we could maybe do, because I do prefer Madueke on the right. I think Madueke he's markedly better out there. I think it might be an opportunity to give Bukayo a breather and just leave him to the last half hour. I think Madueke can get the better of the Brentford left back and help us in this game. That might be one that we can definitely rotate because we will want Saka at Villa Park.